It's better to just own up to avoid the issue from happening other than handling the wounds from said issue later on. This is just simply the art of mitigation. To crystallize this debate, I'll be starting with a few setup. I'll be framing the status quo and then I'll be explaining about our model. What is actually the areas prone to disaster? This means that this area has been consecutively hitting disaster on like a specific schedule, i.e. on rain season this area almost gets flooded. What is the problem existing in status quo right now? First is that government have to pour out a substantial amount of funds to create infrastructure, refugee camps in the new area, and rebuilding the old areas later on. Where does this fund come from? They come from taxes, profits, and this means that these are limited when disaster agendas are not the only thing the government has priority on. Next is that what happens to the people. People have to pack up, live their entire lives, home and treasure, and stay in a constricting camp cramped with so many people with mediocre facilities, unable to actually get what you need due to the significant amount of funds needed to actually sustain these camps. For all those problems, this debate should be really on which side is actually able to prove where the state should allocate their limited funds in to actually maximize the benefit for them. What is our model? First, government policies will now shift to more disaster mitigation centric policies. What does this mean? They will implement prevention technologies based on the area, i.e., tsunami prone areas are now protected with a seawall or wave routes that makes the wave dies out before it actually reaches shores. Or in flood prone area, houses are built right so it won't come in and the sewer drainage is like improved. Next is about like how the government will socialize and promote this. For these policies to actually work, you need participation from both parties, both the state bureaucracy and the citizens itself. That is why the government will advocate to the people to not contribute to the factors of disaster. This means they advocate you to not throw trash so there won't be floods. Don't do illegal logging so your land won't erode, and actually take good care of the new implemented technology for it to actually stay sustainable. This way it works because it's not just a one-sided action but the collective action to actually solve this. Yeah, next is what does it actually mean to reallocate policies? This means that refugee camps will be built in the town next door to handle these people. And yeah, usually they will build the area back again and then move the people back into those areas. But if opposition will say the refugee stays there, this is also unsustainable because there's going to be overpopulation, and it's also unsustainable because you cannot just keep moving people when disasters start. For all of those points, I have two substantive here. First, and why disaster mitigation is a rational step the state should take, and why this benefits the population of these zones. What is the problem here on first point? This is in disaster-prone areas or red zone, this chain of disaster isn't random. It usually follow a geographic or geological calendar. This is why on rainy seasons you get flood tsunamis in these areas, or the fact that there's just factors that contributes to this and to mitigate it is just to not contribute, i.e. illegal logging. There's no route to hold the dirt, it collapses, you get erosion. What has the state actually been doing here? They keep on building a new refuge area in town next door each time there's actually a disaster in the red zones. This means they go and fix the broken land once it's too late. They ended up spending billions on each disaster to actually keep the damages fixed. Why is this important? The government funds are limited. This is why they need to be smart on how to actually allocate their funds. Next is that a country doesn't just have one disaster prone zone. That is why spending money to solve an issue each time actually depraves the other sector, which is also the state priority. So yeah, what is the solution to why does the mitigation policies actually solve this? First, technology to mitigate already exists and it is accessible. You have seawalls, you have wave route. Even technologies that absorb the seismic vibration from earthquake already exist. A lot of government actually already does this. What they need to do is just to focus their anti-disaster agenda funds more into this technology other than actually handling it once it strikes. This, and again, through digitalization, information spread easier for raising awareness. This is why advocacy will work. This is why the policy will be sustainable. What is the impact from this? The state spending might spike in a period of time, but after it's implemented, the spending will start to decrease due to the fact that they do not need to handle these events individually. This is within the government best interest because now they are now able to allocate funds more freely to other sectors to other sectors and the things that they need to run the country, therefore fulfilling their responsibility as governments. Why is this exclusive? You only get this freedom under our side, even if the upfront cost to actually implement these mitigation technologies are high. The amount of ROI you got from it outweighs. This is why it gets into my second point on how it actually gets to the people itself. Why does this benefit the population of this zone? Citizens are forced to leave their houses behind this disaster. That is the problem. They usually leave a significant amount of things due to the fact that they leave in panic. This is important because this imposes a financial burden to them. Because leaving your home behind in panic means leaving things behind. Either the access is blocked to it or just there's simply not enough time to actually reach it. Replacing these things is expensive, especially it's unlike wealth things like property, certificates, etc. It takes both capital and time to acquire it back, and you need to prove that it's actually yours. With the lack of proof, you might just lose it like entirely to the bureaucracy, etc. So why does this mitigation actually impacts the people living in this population? Now, citizens has more responsibilities and things to be mindful about, i.e. they just cannot throw their trash away and stuff like that. They actually have to take care of the technologies the government brings to them, but that is completely fine because caring for your home area is an inherent responsibility. Caring for your environment, etc., is just a responsibility that you have as a society in this world. This is why, and you're not actually left alone. You get advocation through the government itself, like a step by step on what to do. They actually know what to do here, and they're not being left alone to fend for themselves. This is important for the impact because why? You don't need to say bye-bye of your life in that town anymore or fear anymore within your own home and always keeping an emergency back, etc. This is why it's more sustainable for you as a citizen. But why is this the best interest of government since they are the one implementing it in the first place and actually funding for it? Now government are now getting less backlash from these regions due to them implementing these welfare policies for them to actually keep on living here more stable and more happily. This means that there's going to be more votes garnered from this region because they feel like you government who actually implement this is a good government because you're taking care of them. This spikes the chances for you to actually be re-elected. This is why you only get this stability under our side. So through mitigation and stuff like that, this is why it outweighs the way the reallocating policies. This is why we're so proud to propose.